attempts afoot to create issues at the port where there are none. I will not be intimidated. A statement from the President. Venerable Theras joined the Satyagraha at the port. Court issues order prohibiting port employees from blocking roads during their protests. Import tax on big onions increased to 50 rupees.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to your weekend edition of Primetime News. Giving prominence to generosity and unity, Muslims in Sri Lanka celebrated the festival of al-Adha today.
Eid al-Adha, also known as the Hajj festival, is one of the two festivals of Islam and is celebrated by all Muslims on the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah. The Muslim festival marks the conclusion of the important worship of Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca. Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Religious observances at mosques across the island took place today, adhering to health regulations. This was how religious observances took place at the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, Saudi Arabia.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that attempts are being made to create an issue surrounding the port when there is none. The President said that he will not be intimidated by groups orchestrating these scenes.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa made this statement at a rally held at the Mahaveli grounds in Mahiyanganaya. He was touring the Badula district to campaign for candidates of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. The President said that no matter the obstacles, he will not stop the programs launched to eradicate poverty. We have a proper plan and it must be implemented. I received the votes of 6.9 million people, but I must say that those votes came in from areas densely populated by Sinhala people. When a leader who cares about the country tries to do something, some try to sabotage these plans. The ports have been closed down for no reason to leave our economy in ruins. I am not intimidated by these. I will eradicate poverty. The President pointed out that every time a leader who cares about the country comes into power, extremist groups have worked towards sabotaging that leader. The President said that although employment opportunities were provided, the poor were deprived of these opportunities. The President also said that the promises made in his manifesto will be kept, and the promised 150,000 job opportunities will be given to low-income families and graduates. The President added that a program will be implemented to train and provide job opportunities to students who pass their ordinary and advanced level examinations. The public who gathered at the meeting informed the President of the threat of wild elephants in the area, the drug menace and the lack of facilities at the Dehigolla Mahavidyalaya. The President also promised to complete the Moran-Ala irrigation project and solve the issue surrounding the shortage of clean water in the area.
The Satyagraha launched by port employees demanding that the East Container Terminal of the Colombo port is not sold to India continued today. Court issued an order this evening barring the protesters from blocking roads during their protests and disturbing the general public.
A group of police officers led by Senior Deputy Inspector General Deshabandha Thanukun announced the order issued by the Halstorf Magistrates Court to the protesters. The situation was brought under control by leaders of the port's trade union.
My brothers, please be silent. We are fighting to protect our national treasures. These officers are only here to keep the peace. Our goal is to save the East Container Terminal. So my brothers, please be silent and allow these officers to carry out their duties.
Thank you. Under Section 9 of the Criminal Procedure Code, there is evidence that these acts pose a threat to public health and also disrupt the lives of the general public, and the court thinks that these acts that affect the public must be halted. The court orders the following respondents and groups with them to act accordingly. Entry to the state institutions including the Colombo Port, Rangala Navy Base, the Colombo International Container Terminal, Jaya Container Terminal, and South Asian Entrance Terminal without permission is hereby prohibited.
This is regarding the issues that have arisen after roads were blocked and vehicles that travel along this road, especially the containers that carry essential food items, were blocked. We as the police will not intervene in any way against the peaceful trade union action that you are staging.
However, the trade union representatives have not been allowed to hold discussions with the president. The trade unions request for a clear decision on the East Container Terminal to be given to them in writing before the conclusion of the general election. The ports trade unions have been joined by several civil society organizations and other professional organizations in their struggle. The chairman of the Ports Authority held discussions with leaders of the trade unions this afternoon. The discussions ended without any agreement. Venerable Theros of the National Bhikkhu Front also gave their blessings to the Satyagraha around 12:40 this afternoon.
We join the struggle as the National Bhikkhu Front because we consider this to be a national issue. Who are our enemies in this struggle? The enemies are President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and the government. Our enemy is this government that is attempting to sell off these national assets. The East Container Terminal is the final piece, the heart of the Ports Authority that remains. If this terminal is taken away, on that day people's lives will be sacrificed here. So I would like to speak to the people who can see me and hear me now and say that President Gotabaya did not come into power to sell these national assets. If this government is given the power at the next general election, this East Container Terminal will be given to India or the dead bodies of these port employees. Last night, Minister Vimal Weerawansa and Uday Gammanpila came here with a message from President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. They said that the President will hold discussions with us on the 6th of August. But our trade unions think that discussions are not important. It is the decision that is important. We need a decision of the President regarding the East Container Terminal in writing. We inform them that if they give us this decision in writing, we will call off our trade union action. If you think that these assets must be given to the future generation of this country, and if you are a true Sri Lankan, come and join us. Today, the 1st of August, is the anniversary of our Ports Authority. If we don't get a decision by the end of today, we would like to send out the message that this anniversary of the Ports Authority will go down in history as a dark day. We would also like to announce that we will never let go of the struggle until we emerge victoriously. Some say we are trying to defeat the government. There is nothing like that. We are the trade unions that fought to bring Gotabaya Rajapaksa into power. We are saddened by certain statements that were made. Yesterday, Namal Rajapaksa said that we did not carry out this struggle during the Yahapalanaya government. Your father knows when we started this struggle and the protests that we staged. Then we went to meet your father. We did not allow them to sell this terminal during that time as well. They told us to continue our struggle for a little longer and promised to do away with the agreement when they came into power. So Namal Rajapaksa, ask your father. This is not a struggle that began recently. We will not allow people like PB Jayasundara to play games within this administration. We would like to ask the government to solve this issue either today or tomorrow. If this issue is not solved, we will strike a serious blow against this government. This will be a good lesson for this government as well as leaders of this country. This is a lesson from the port employees. The government is currently conspiring against us. We know about all of these conspiracies and we have a strong group of employees who can face these. If the oil tanks of the country are being sold, if the MCC agreement is being brought, and if the port is being sold off, we know that all media organizations will stand against it without any hesitation. In a few more days, there is a war for preferential votes. We only want to say this: don't vote for anyone who is for the sale of national assets. All countries in the world that developed mainly focused on two things: ports and airports. Singapore has become a state today because of its port. What would happen if this part of our port is given to foreign countries? We only want a statement that assets of the port authority will not be sold off to any foreign country. That is all we want. But if the government is unable to even do that, we have a serious suspicion as to if these assets have already been sold off.
A group including civil society representatives joined the Satyagraha at the premises of the Colombo port. Venerable Theros representing several organizations also arrived at the premises to support the port employees in their struggle.
We asked the government to sell the entire port without selling off sections of it. One government sold one part of the port while the next government sells off the rest. In the end, they all want to sell this and profit off of it. We know that even during the previous regime, agreements were drafted to lease off the East Terminal. At least President Maithripala Sirisena had the backbone to listen to our concerns and somehow stop these agreements from being signed. The current minister had submitted a cabinet paper. How foolish are these people? While the port employees are on the gantry cranes, they submit a cabinet paper. Who gave them such powers? 51% will be held by the government and 49% will be sold to the Adani group. This 51% is held by two companies that have not been named. What are these two companies and who do they belong to? Is it Johnston's or Namal's or PB Jayasundara's? Will these agreements be signed and will these assets be sold off? Tell us that before the elections. Then the people can decide who to vote for. Please announce whether these assets will be sold off or not before the general election. If that does not happen, we will also bring thousands of Theras and we will clash and see what happens. They are now dreaming of a two-thirds majority. If they continue like this, they will lose the seats they already have. We are expected to stay silent when people who appear to be patriots loot the country. If we stand up against them, we are branded as traitors. We would like to inform this government that although the government betrays the country to continue to hold power, these trade unions, along with us, who have come to support their cause, will never betray the country. This happened in the past as well. When they got more power, they made more mistakes. So we would like to inform the people that we made all of these sacrifices holding the best interests of the nation and her national assets at our heart. We will cripple the entire city of Colombo. Let's face off with the army of the Rajapaksas and see what happens. We are not intimidated by these thugs. Those thugs are there because of us. They have a weird theory. We know better theories than that.
During the reign of the previous government, the Hambantota port was sold off to China. 15,000 acres of land was handed over to China Harbour. Mahindra Rajapaksa handed over the South Terminal to China. Now they are preparing to sell off the East Terminal. Although Namal speaks of a cabinet paper of the previous government, the cabinet papers of this government are the valid ones. Other countries develop by producing various items within their country. They sell cars, ships and aeroplanes. The foolish politicians of this country sell harbours, airports and lands. Ironically, you who brought this government to power to save the country has to now fight to save the country from them.
Meanwhile, representing the ruling party, Vimal Veeravansa and Udaya Gammanpilla visited the site where the Satyagraha was staged last night. Their attempts to discuss the issues regarding the port were proven futile. Subsequently, the group, including the representatives, resumed discussions at a nearby hall. This was the situation when all trade union representatives present attempted to participate in the discussions. Thereafter, the meeting between the heads of trade unions and representatives from the ruling faction began amid the intervention of police.
We will intervene as the intermediaries to provide written confirmation or to facilitate a meeting with him. We appear with good intentions.
We are not trying to take advantage or exploit anything, but the problem is, if you let go of this matter, this will be given away. Even if you intervene, you will not be able to stop it, because the faction in favor of selling it is very powerful. Our efforts have deprived us of employee benefits for the next 5 years. We don't care about the benefits. All we want is the institution.
As representatives, the next step we could take is to inform the President about this matter. Deciding in this regard is in the hands of the President.
If we receive the letter, we will resume work in 2 days. We will generate an income of 20 million daily. We will work without pay for a month. This is the right of our future generation, and this is what we are fighting for. Lead this endeavor. Please discuss this matter with the President and solve this issue as soon as possible. Until then, we will take trade union action. By tomorrow evening, a black mark will appear. This is the trade unions of the government, not the opposition. We have come forward, deriving ourselves of 5 years of employee benefits. We are aware that this will affect us. We will leave the trade unions. All we want is the port to be protected.
Subsequently, Vimal Veeravansa and Udaya Gammanpilla expressed these views about the meeting.
The government has no intention of taking any decision that would disadvantage the Ports Authority or the people of this country, and we came here today to meet with the heads of trade unions to inform them about this. However, the trade unions want written confirmation from the government that the East Container Terminal will continue to remain under the purview of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. We will inform the President in this regard. We hope to inform the President about this and provide a solution to this crisis tomorrow. We will inform the President about this matter, and the President will make his decision.
Those participating in the Satyagraha commemorated the anniversary of the port of Colombo today. However, with the suspension of operations at all 3 terminals, the crew, including drivers, have been severely inconvenienced. This was the situation at the Ingurukade junction from last afternoon until this morning. Meanwhile, in Kandy today, Anurukumara Dissanayake expressed the following views about securing a 2/3 majority at the upcoming general election and the issues surrounding the East Container Terminal.
Some are of the view that the President cannot perform his duties properly, and the President is trying to take over some of the powers of the Prime Minister. Some think the Prime Minister is eyeing on taking some of the powers of the President. Neither of these claims is true. The truth is, some powers are obstructing both the President and the Prime Minister. They don't have the power to appoint the justices of the Supreme Court and High Court. They are seeking this power. The attempt to obtain votes claiming that they will amend the constitution is similar to getting a blank check signed by the general public. I urge the public to refrain from signing a blank check. They will write whatever they want. Same goes to the MCC agreement. They will receive an $80 million slice if the agreement goes through. Due to the prevailing economic situation in the country, the ruling party is desperate for that slice. But to receive that slice, they need to sign the MCC first. According to Mahinda Rajapaksa, the basis to give away the East Container Terminal to India is because the Hambantota port was given to China. To be honest, they are compelled to give away the East Container Terminal to India because the South Terminal was given to China. And the South Terminal of the Colombo port was given to China by Mahinda Rajapaksa.
ඇත්තම ගත්තොත් දකුණු ජටිය චීනට දීපු නිසා තමයි කොළඹ වරාය නැගෙන ජටිය.
Meanwhile, the Urban Development Authority, convening a media briefing yesterday, expressed these views regarding future development in Colombo.
The other projects we have commenced is to construct a city adjacent to Colombo by reclaiming the sea. This project was initiated in 2013. However, we could not implement it in the past 5 years. We will expedite its implementation and add more land to Colombo by reclaiming the sea. We plan to develop the port city, the area surrounding the Beira Lake, along with the new city to be constructed, as a dedicated development zone. This area will be equipped with the necessary physical resources and a green path. Approximately 120 hectares of green paths will be added to the city of Colombo. We will also increase the landmass of the coastal belt in Colombo.
During a tour in Anuradhapura, National People's Power candidate Wasantha Samarasinghe commented on the proposed project. The government is planning to sell off the East Container Terminal and then claim that they are able to construct the port city. Who is going to fund it? What will be done to the one that is currently being constructed? Where is the new port city being constructed? The government says another port city will be constructed towards Dehiwala and Mount Lavinia. They say we will be able to acquire more land. Why do we need to create artificial land when the one we already have is being sold? Port employees have restored to protests. Operations have been suspended. All this is to urge the government not to sell the East Container Terminal. Why do they fear India this much? One terminal was given to China. Another was handed over to the private sector. The only remaining terminal is being handed over to India. China is pinching the left ear. India is pinching the right. The government, which rose to power claiming nothing will be sold, is now acting in this manner. Our request from the people is not to be deceived by these fraudsters.
Against a backdrop where national assets and public resources are being misused by various corrupt factions, farmers in Palle Malala, Hambantota are struggling to make ends meet due to failed cultivations.
These are the paddy lands belonging to the locals of Kiripatya area in Palle Malala, Hambantota. However, these farmland have now been abandoned due to a worm infestation.
This worm has destroyed our paddy fields. Every plant has been destroyed. We have suffered massive losses. It's like burning our hard work.
These farmers who invested their savings and their time in these paddy lands have now lost all hope. Approximately 300 acres of paddy land have been destroyed.
For every acre, we have to pay about 8,000 rupees to reap the harvest. Sometimes we have to pay 10,000 rupees. But what can we do now? There is no income from these paddy fields. We are helpless. Our crops were first destroyed due to bad weather. Now a worm has killed everything.
As the farmers in this area have not faced such a situation before, they had informed the Hambantota Agri Society in this regard. However, the farmers have still not received a response.
ගම්පහ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයෙන් දොස්තර කවින්ද ජයවර්ධන අංක 19 සමගි ජන බලවේගය.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa addressed a public rally today.
A public rally of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was held in Palmadulla yesterday under the auspices of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa.
මේ ප්‍රදේශයේ මැණික් කර්මාන්තය පසුගිය දාමේ කොයිඩ් වසංගතයත් එක්ක පිටරට යන ලංකාවට නොයම නිසා අපිට ආපහු යන්න බැරි නිසා
The gem industry was negatively affected due to COVID-19. We have identified several areas that should be improved to uplift the gem industry, including the reconsideration of tax revisions. Our objective is to provide fertilizer concessions to farmers for cultivation. We urge you to support us. Vote for the flower bud symbol. I wish you a blessed future.
ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම සුබ අනාගතයක් වේවා කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරමින් මා ඔබෙන් සමුගන්නවා.
A public rally of the Samagi Jana Balavege, organized by party candidate Sujeeva Senasinghe, was held in Kaduwela yesterday. The rally was graced by the leader of the Samagi Jana Balavege, Sajit Premadasa.
සංස්කෘතික ඇමතිවරයා හැටියට වසරක් තුල
As the Minister of Cultural Affairs, I initiated a program to construct 1,125 temples and 1,000 Dhamma schools across the island. I commenced a project to renovate and develop religious places of worship. During my tenure as a subject minister, I did not accept my salary. I travelled in my vehicle. I bore the expenses personally. I did not benefit from any state vehicles. After the presidential election, all the development programs I commenced were stopped. I am not afraid of people slinging mud at me. I will not back down. I will ensure that projects I started to develop the religious places of worship will continue.
වැඩියෙන් දියුණු කරන්නට අපි අධිෂ්ඨානය කරයි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියන්න කැමතියි.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena attended a public rally in Dimbulagala, Polonnaruwa today.
මේ මැතිවරණයේ දැන් අන්තිම උච්ච අවස්ථාව.
After midnight tomorrow, all propaganda activities will come to an end. Even with few more days left for the general election, any political propaganda campaign of the opposition has not been able to challenge the government. Large and powerful groups of the UNP in the Polonnaruwa district have joined me. When I visited villages, certain UNP supporters have requested me to convene meetings and attend rallies. Large groups of UNPers visit my house as well. At present, there are no supporters to vote for the UNP. The UNP has been destroyed. The current leadership of the UNP is to blame for the present situation of the party. The SLPP will secure a two-thirds majority in the upcoming general election.
අති බහුතරයක් අපිට ලැබෙනවා මේ මැතිවරණයේදී පොහොට්ටුවට.
The public gathering organized by the United National Party was held yesterday at the Workers' Seven Hall in Ratmalana. It was held under the auspices of party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe.
This real UNP is here. I ask who is on that side. Is Rauf Hakim a die-hard UNP supporter? Digambaram is on that side. Is he a proper UNP supporter? They have Champika. Is he a proper UNP supporter? He publicly acknowledges that he is not in the UNP. What else is there to say? Mano Ganesan is also on that side. Does he support the UNP fully? Is Rishad Badiuddin, who is on that side, a proper UNPer? How can those people be the UNP? We were in the UNP since we were juniors. In 2014, I saved this party from the Mahinda Rajapaksa government. After removing it, I brought it here. Now a large team has joined us. What is that team? It comprises the people who repeatedly said Honorable President since 2015. That is why 52 days were created. I handled it. If not, the UNP would be lost. It is those who were with the Honorable President who is in that team. They don't scold the former president on political stages. They don't criticize him. They only criticize me. They consider the Honorable former President a hero. To them, I am the traitor. To them, I am the one who strike deals with Mahinda and Gotabaya. Now you can see clearly that the Honorable former President is not with Mahinda or Gotabaya.
A press conference was organised by several artists attached to the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
It is required to send a set of representatives who are not corrupt and who will support President Gotabaya's program as a majority to the parliament.
My only hope is to create a society with discipline within the country. We saw proper discipline and management with the present government. Change is the ultimate truth in our lives. What I'm inviting you is to join that change. As an artist, what I'm requesting from the people is not lose what we already have. Support them to continue what has already been gained. We can see a better path now. There is no need for us to think or procrastinate any further. I know their vote will be cast for the Pohottua. What's more important than anything is humanity. I wish all the best for this government to move forward with the support of every faction.
As artists of this country, we cordially invite the 21 million people and other political factions of this nation to lend their support to Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa to obtain a two-thirds majority in the parliament.
The National Intellectuals Forum convened a media briefing in Colombo earlier today. The main individuals who are involved with drugs are with them. If we are to eradicate it, new laws do not have to be implemented. If they apprehend those around them, the drug menace can be wiped out. Those people are with them. It's pointless to say that they need the two-thirds majority to eradicate the underworld. There are more than enough laws to do that in Sri Lanka. A two-thirds majority isn't needed to form new laws. It can be done with a simple majority. Most of them are under the protection and sponsorship of politicians. On the other hand, we cannot clearly see that there are foreign threats that they speak of. However, this government has bowed its head to America, India and China. They won't change with a two-thirds majority. That will remain. We have knelt before these countries. After the election, once the MCC is signed, we will do what America tells us to do. So, a two-thirds is a baseless topic. In Sri Lanka, the two-thirds has always been used for the betterment of the politicians and not the people.
Meanwhile, former diplomat Dr. Dayan Jayatilaka expressed the following views on the present political situation in the country.
For the first time in 15 years, I'm not on the platform asking for a vote for Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa. You remember Nugegoda, February 2015, shortly after the defeat of 2015, I was the one who read out his statement. No, I didn't write it, but I was chosen to read it out because of the work I had done in the recovery, the political recovery, which was very fast, the turnaround. But today, that camp is saying exactly the opposite of what it did. Because the whole slogan of the Mahinda comeback was that under the 19th Amendment, he would be a strong PM and the president would be a managerial president. But that has been turned upside down now, with no reason given. A campaign which started very sincerely saying, look, he's going to be a strong PM under the 19th Amendment, has become a campaign for a two-thirds majority to abolish the 19th Amendment and the independent commissions, abolish the 13th Amendment, which President Mahinda Rajapaksa promised India and the world would be built upon. So it's been turned upside down with not a single reason given, and nobody even asked the question.
In more local news, a special religious ceremony to seek blessings for the Colombo district candidate of the Samagi Janabalavegaya, former Minister Patali Champika Ranavaka, was held in Bellambila at the Rajamaha Viharya yesterday.
The religious ceremony was the auspices of the chief incumbent of the Bellambila Rajamaha Viharya, Venerable Dr. Bellambila Damratana Theru.
ඔබතුමා ගැන රටේ උඹ දෙනෙක් දන්නේ අපි දන්නේ මෙගා ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් ඇමරිතුමා හැටියට තමයි. බොහෝ දෙනා ව්‍යාපෘති පටන් ගන්නවා ඉවර කරන්නේ නැහැ. වෙනවා නමුත් ඔබතුමා පටන් ගත්ත ඔබ ව්‍යාපෘති නිමෙලා තියෙන බව අපට ලැබෙන තොරතුරු වලින් අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන්.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට දූෂකයන් වංචනිකයන් පගාකරුවන් මිනිමරුවන් ස්ත්‍රී දූෂකයන් ළමා අපචාරකරුවන් කැසිනෝ කරුවන් කුඩුකාරයන් ජාවාරම්කාරයන් යවන්න එපා.
Meanwhile, the government has taken a decision to increase the tax imposed on onions by 50 rupees.
The Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, S.R. Artigala, said the import levy on 1 kilogram of onions was earlier at 15 rupees. The government has now increased the income tax of onions by 35 rupees, and the Secretary added that this was done in order to empower the local onion farmers.
And that's the wrap of Prime Time News. On behalf of the Newsfirst team, I'm Zinat Musafa, and tonight's news interpreter was Taraka Gabriel. Thank you very much for watching Newsfirst. Good night and take care.